We provide a 12-month software apprenticeship program.
And get picked up by a big tech company.
What Mike has built and what this team brings is it's AAA class.
And I thought, this is the model that we're going to grow Genus.
I would first look to contract out to Creating Coding Careers, where you're going to get experienced technology. The pipeline into your company for long-term growth.
So you're better off starting where you can groom and mentor and shape, people for your organization.
I've worked with coding teams for many years, and this was the first one that just picked up where we were and started continuing like they built it.
We're happy to have them in the building and see what they're developing. This is the second location. They started out with us in our building in Escondido.
Creating Coding Careers has this incredible combination of subject matter expertise in the technology field and what is actually required to do.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Martinez from Creating Coding Careers. I'm here with my boss and co-host, Mike Roberts, where we help developers transition into tech roles. Today's guest speaker is an engineer turned career coach. He specializes in personal branding, job searching, job interviews, and life coaching. He brings a wealth of experience, having guided countless professionals on their career paths, helping them break through barriers and achieve their dreams. I'd like to welcome renowned career coach and a mentor to some of our own apprentices, Mr. Nader Mowlaee. Welcome, Nader.
Thank you very much, Alex, for the introduction. It's good to be with you again. Mike, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
Good to have you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
So Nader, we usually do like a Q&A style, but I understand you have a presentation you want to share with us. Mike, did you want to kick us off with any special intros?
Yeah, I just want to, again, encourage those folks that maybe recently displaced from the Bitwise apprenticeship program. Reach out to us. We're here for you. We want to continue to support early career people that are starting that job search. Maybe starting that job search a little sooner and with a little bit more intensity. But we want to be a resource for you. So if you're listening in, really take notes today, because Nader's going to just crush it and drop a bunch of gems. And I feel like we also can be there for you in terms of helping you just be as productive as you can in your job search. I can't make it any easier, but I can certainly help it go faster. And that's our goal. So I think we even got our text number, so we can share that too, share it out for you folks, and make sure that you're the first ones to hear as soon as we start launching free courses for you, free workshops, webinars. We're not going to charge you anything for this. Again, we just want to see that you are successful, and we want you to know that we got your back, right? We know what it's like to be early career folks, and we just want to make sure you land that first job in software engineer as fast as you can. So we're here for you. Other than that, I'm going to hand it over to Nader. We're going to do a great job of getting you started today, and then we'll follow up.
Yeah, thanks. So Nader, I do want to see that presentation. Super excited for that. But first, I was hoping you can share with us how you got into tech yourself, share your journey, and then you just give me the signal so we can go ahead and get that presentation going for you.
Yeah, of course. It's a great question. And it's interesting because my journey has been quite, it's been quite a journey. There's been quite a lots of ups and downs and lefts and rights. And from afar, it looks like zigzagging, but I want everyone listening in to just realize that if you feel like you're going through kind of a zigzag in your career right now, or even if you're at the earliest stage, at the first step of your career, and you don't even know what you're going to do, what you're going to end up doing, to see how my story could be potentially relevant to yours. And ultimately, there's a light at the end of that tunnel, because I grew up in a family of engineers, and I was the oldest son, still am, oldest son of the oldest son. So kind of was supposed to, follow in my father and my grandfather's footsteps, become an engineer, and just I was bred by an engineer to become an engineer. It's quite a fairy tale, you know, or I thought it was, you know. So long story short, we immigrated to Canada in 2001. September 11 was my first day in school. Had to deal with a lot of bullying right off the bat. You know, didn't fit in, didn't speak English. Had to go 2 years back in high school just to learn how to speak. So those who's struggling with communication, just basic, you know, maybe English is your second language as well. I can relate to that. Even 10 years after that, I could still struggle. Long story short, graduated, couldn't get into university because my English, you know, high school English marks that were too low, and got into college. Had to get into college, upgrade my English, upgrade my communication skills, which is one of the three things we're going to talk about today in the presentation, is to improve our communication skills to be better engineers. Anyways, went to night school, summer school, adult school. Finally passed with good, you know, decent marks. Graduated from college, went to university, and got my bachelor's in electronics engineering. Now, all those delays, you know, I told you 2001, I got into basically last year of high school, had to go 2 years back, had to go to college before university. All that led to me graduating at end of 2007 with my bachelor's degree. And for those guys that have a few years under your belts, you know, I'm turning 40 next year. You definitely remember the last recession of 2008. Yeah. And the housing market crashed, and, you know, manufacturing crashed and everything. So my good luck, you know, my dreams kind of got shattered in front of me. They did indeed. And I couldn't get a job, you know, from August 2007, September 2007 till March 2008, I was applying to more than 10 jobs a day. I did everything under the sun. I tried everything, rewriting my resume, you name it. I tried it, you know, jobs that were below me, just you name it, I did it. I couldn't get a job in my field. You know, I was promised $30 an hour out of university. Did not happen. At the time, I was working as a security guard, working at a coffee shop at Tim Hortons, you know, serving coffee with a bachelor's degree in engineering. At the time where, you know, I was an electronics engineer, and robotics were hot. I mean, they're hot right now, but over there, you know, you couldn't even touch a robot. You burn your hands, you know, and just, yeah, no one invested in me. And, you know, I felt like a failure, let my dad down, you know, it was a total disaster, got depressed, and you name it. So had to make some money, had to pay the rent. I took a job at $14.90 in a telecommunications company, answering phone calls, helping people when, you know, when their phone wasn't working. I helped them make sure there's a battery in there, and, you know, how to connect their, you know, when Apple iPhone 1 was released, you know, I was helping people turn on their iPhones. So again, very depressing time of my life, you know, doing that stuff with an electronics engineering robotics degree. And yeah, things didn't work out for me well, you know. Long story short, 2 years in that telco company, did my job, got good, you know, good grades, got a couple of promotions, never did anything that needed a bachelor's degree, especially like my specialty was in embedded software development, you know, robotics programming, hardware programming, very far away from, you know, Siri, is your phone, is your phone turned on? I know you can't make a phone call. Is it turned on yet? Let's make sure of that. So just, again, I'm sharing you these details, especially the emotional parts of, you know, what having a not so good of a job or a bad job feels, because I want you to understand that I get it. And, you know, it is part of who I am. And this is part of what makes me understand my clients and understand a lot of you guys. I'm assuming, you know, you might be in your early 20s or late 40s being here. I don't know. I don't see who you guys are, but there's a reason you're here. And I'm going to fairly assume that you're currently unhappy with your career or unhappy with your job search results, right? So to, again, make a longer story short, I stayed in that industry, low bed, switched jobs, went to IT, went to technical sales. None of that stuff helped me. I was not happy. And I wanted to kind of like reinvent myself, and I just needed help. So I went to this recruiting company. They sent me on one job interview where they told me, hey, it's been 3-4 years since you graduated. You've never used your degree. You've never used your programming skills. They gave me tests. I failed those tests. I was too depressed to go back to school, and no organization like, you know, creating coding careers, no boot camps. This stuff didn't exist back in 2010, 2011. So long story short, what ended up being the trigger that got me into the recruiting industry was my persistence. Persistence and persistence. Honestly, just that one word. Like we can, put some bells and whistles on it. Great persistence, never giving up, and all that. But it was just like persisting, going back to that recruiting company regularly, like following up with them a couple of times a week, genuinely, and trying to do my best to become a top candidate for them. They said that, hey, we cannot place you in an engineering job, so just stop following, stop following up with us, which I didn't. And one day I got a call from this recruiter, Maria, and she said, you know what? I like how persistent you are. I like your technical background. Why don't you come work for us?
There you go.
And I said, you know what? I hate my job right now, so why not? You know what I mean? So since that day, my purpose, my mission became, and it's still to this day is my mission, that, hey, if I didn't become an engineer, if I wasn't going to become an engineer, I will damn make sure that others who are in the same situation as me are not going to go through this negative, dark place that I went to. They're not going to, eliminate their dreams. And, I want them to get to the place that I wanted to take. So today, I'm a coach. I did recruiting for 10 years, but the reason why I continued recruiting and got into coaching was to become the person I needed, like 15 years ago. Because I know till today, people need, you need someone like me, not just me, but like people like me to guide you over these struggles, to help you overcome challenges, and ultimately to reach your dream in your career, in your life, and inside and outside of that realm. So ultimately you find abundance, happiness, fulfillment, success, whatever you want to call it. That's how I got into the field that I am in, completely by luck, by chance. It was not a choice, but I find purpose in it. I find everything that I want to get out of life. And ultimately today, this conversation and the presentation I'm going to give you today is to help you create the same thing. First of all, understand that you're not alone. If you're struggling, if you're unhappy, if you don't like what you do, if you're failing to get a job, you're not alone. Anybody, I went through it. I'm sure Alex has gone through some of those.
Absolutely.
Everybody has gone through it. So don't self-blame. Don't point the fingers at yourself. Just make sure you attend presentations like this and you focus on personal development, professional growth, and you just, going back to that persistence, you just never lose your persistent mindset, and your focus on eliminating your problems, focusing on problems that you got to solve, overcoming your weaknesses so that you can propel yourself forward. So Alex, that was a long answer for your simple question.
No, that was a great intro, and I think you just set the tone.
To hear that, because
it's all about grittiness. That's what it sounds like. It's all about grittiness. That's how you got your first position, and I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of that kind of like sprinkled across your presentation. So I want everybody to know that Nader is going to give us a polished presentation, and we are going to get to your questions. We're going to have the Q&A towards the end. So keep sending those questions. And Nader, just to let you know, for whatever reason, the questions aren't popping up on my StreamYard, but that's okay because I got my phone over here. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be looking over to my left just to let you know. No disrespect. I'm looking at my phone. Just look for any questions that might be popping up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get the presentation started, and I'll let you take over here, and I'll move us over to the left.
Awesome. Got it. So going back to 2010, I got into recruiting within the engineering and technology field. I continued recruiting from 2010 to 2020. 2020 hit. I stopped recruiting so that I can focus more on coaching. Now, truth be told, I started coaching right away in 2010, 2011. So I've been giving a version of this presentation for over a decade. I kid you guys not. Now sometimes I change the titles a little bit, but it's primarily job search strategies, and now I put a label on it, recession proof it, because, we're dealing with this recession
times
like that.
Absolutely.
It used to be called pandemic proof.
There you go.
Slides and stuff change a little bit, but I want you guys to focus on the core of the message and the 3 principles that create 3 different results for you. So number 1, most important than everything, which is why I told you my story and talked about the feelings and emotions and the mindset that I had, is changing your mindset. So we're going to go through understanding what kind of negative mindsets you might have, or maybe not negative, but just the wrong way, the wrong perspective. So I want to help you identify that. And chances are you're going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's how I'm viewing it. I thought this was right, but I'm going to get to, how you want to adjust your mindset, looking at it from a different perspective. Then, as I mentioned earlier, it is all about improving your communication. I may sound okay right now, but I started learning English at 18. You know what I mean? I didn't have my first job till I was 23, and I didn't feel confident speaking English till I was like 30.
Wow.
No joke. I'm 39 right now, turning 40 next year. So improving your communication skills is extremely important. I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks, principles, foundational facts that allow you to understand, okay, yeah, I need to improve these. I need to focus on these macro areas, not the micro. It's not about which keyword. I'll get to that. It's not about which keyword you put on your resume. It's like we're going to go think about much higher level. So you can get those big skills in, and ultimately how to limit your competition. Because more than ever, especially in a recession, post-pandemic, doesn't matter. As years go by, there'll be more people in the job market. There'll be more competition, more candidates going after the same jobs. So you gotta take the shortcut. I hate to use that word shortcut, but it is a shortcut. So I'm going to show you the shortcut. I just perhaps don't like that word because it feels like cheating, but hey, let's cheat. If cheating is allowed, why not do it? All right, let's move on. Let's focus on one thing. So I was telling you earlier, the reason why I do what I do is because I want to be the person I needed 15 years ago. So to me, ultimately, there's no greater purpose. There's no greater mission in life for me than helping those in needs. My background is in engineering, electrical, electronics. I worked in telecom, IT, and then 12 plus years in recruiting and coaching. So what matters to me, what gives me fulfillment, what gives me meaning in my life, in my business, in my career, in my daily routine, is to just make sure engineers that I work with, technologists that I work with, maintain their mindset, their mental health, to be correct, by overcoming the stress and the anxiety caused by job searching. So that's my mission. That's what brings me today here. That's what allows me to wake up excited about the work. And how I achieve that, the skills that I have to achieve my mission, to get to my purpose, is developing resumes, creating LinkedIn profiles, and ultimately working one-on-one, face-to-face like this with anyone like you. Now, truth be told, within that tech field, within that engineering field, to help them improve their presentation, personal presentation, and also communication skills, so they can perform better in job interviews. Okay, so that's all you need to know about me, and I want to help you understand three major things that's going to help you transform your job search journey and take your career forward. And number one is that mindset. How are you going to change your perspective and look at this whole job process, career progression, life, whatever, look at it from a different angle, so it allows you to be first, not last. And I want you to first understand the mindset of the employer, because then you want to reflect it, because then you want to look into that mirror. But if you're looking inside an object that's shiny but it's see-through, you're not going to have any reflections back on you, right? So think about it this way, as if, rather than looking through glass, I want to help turn that glass into a mirror. So when you look at it, you can actually see yourself, see the reflection of yourself, and allow you to just mimic or mirror. Like in interview practice, say mirror the other person, mirror their body language, mirror their, spoken words, mirror their energy. It's kind of like mimicking. It's the exact same thing. So for you to understand how to perform, how to behave, you need to understand what is the other person's strategy, what is their mindset, what are they here for? And they're here for three things. Anytime they're looking at a resume, searching for you, evaluating your LinkedIn profile, or meeting you in person, talking to you on the phone, at all times, employers have three questions on their mind. The priority is extremely important. Can you help us? Right off the bat, can this person help us? Can he or she help solve our problems? Number one, they need to go after figuring that out first. If the answer is no, interview is done, candidate is eliminated. So sometimes on the resume, no, this person can't help us, doesn't have the right experience or skills, done. Within 5 to 10 seconds, that's figured out, you're done. So there's things we got to improve with your resume, with your personal branding document, with your written communication. Number 2, you care about us. Does this person care about us? You cannot figure that out by the resume. You cannot figure that out by just reading some words on a piece of paper. That is where your interactions online comes in. That's where social media comes in. That's where LinkedIn profile and specifically your activities on LinkedIn profile comes in, and testimonials, recommendations, those things like that. So what do other people tell about you? Does that make me feel like this person cares about what we do at this company? There's certain things we got to do there, and also when we're speaking on the phone, do we sound interested? Do we sound genuinely passionate about what that company does, who they are, what they make, what problems they solve, who they help, who's their end customer, what kind of problems do they solve with them? So it becomes a lot more engaging and active, not just words on a piece of paper. At this time, we're no longer depending on your resume. If you can't prove that, that you really care about them, you're done. End of the interview, you're done. Moving forward to now we're getting into face-to-face interviews, a Zoom interview like this, video conversation like this. Can we trust this person? Can we trust you? And that is a function of you being there, the words that are coming out of your mouth, the tone of your voice, the energy you put in there, your intentions, your conviction. Are you confident speaking? And honestly, your energy. You know what I mean? Do you really mean what you say? You're just saying it because you want a job and you need to pay your rent, so you're desperate for getting a job. So at this point, your LinkedIn is behind you, your resume is behind you. It's about your performance in the interview. And this is why an employer's job is extremely difficult to successfully qualify you, perform risk analysis, and investing in it. Say, you know what, Alex, you're hired. After the last 7 weeks and 5 interviews, we believe you're going to be a good fit to our organization. We believe you can help us. We believe you care about us. We trust you. Let's get together. Let's do this together. Okay? That's critically important. What I recommend you guys do is to print this, and anyone who wants to copy of this presentation, I can send it to them. I can send a PDF version of this presentation to Alex. You can get it from him. Literally print it and put it on the wall. Look at it every day. So I understand, what does the other person want? If you don't know what the other person wants, like deep in your core, how can you expect to perform to their expectations? You can't, so this is the stuff you want to look at every day. Moving forward, now we're looking at the whole recruiting process and what a recruiter, the person who's actually recruiting you, interviewing you, what is their job? What are their priorities when it comes to hiring you? And in that order, it's the same thing expanded. Have you got the skills to solve the employer's problem? A little bit of a typo there, but have you got the skills? Can you help us means, do you have the skills to solve our problem? Do you care about us? Hey, is this person behaving passionately about our mission and our core values? And this is where behavior comes in. This is where, again, activities on LinkedIn, phone conversations, how you follow up, what you say in your follow-up processes and procedures and messages. Are you behaving passionately about the company's mission and core values? And lastly, can we trust you? AKA, will you fit into our company's work culture and team dynamics? Are you going to get along with our people? So that's where the engagement comes in, back and forth, working with real people. Print the stuff, look at it, memorize it, understand it. That when you're going through the entire recruitment process, which means application review, looking at your resume, do you have the right skills? Do you show that you have solved similar problems in the past? Yes. Okay, perfect. Move on to LinkedIn. Now the recruiter's looking at your LinkedIn. What do you say on your LinkedIn? What do other people say about you? Do you have testimonials? Do you have recommendations? Do you have skills endorsements? Have you got other people to back you up? Do you have a good enough size network? And what are your activities like? Do you have an inactive account, or are you liking posts related to that company's mission, company's core values, company's products? Are you commenting on that company's, social media posts, LinkedIn posts? What are you saying about them? Are you telling them kudos? Are you adding value? Are you asking good questions? Are you sharing new content about that company, their products, but also the industry? Companies like them. If you're in the automotive industry and you want to, become an ADAS programmer, you want to get into programming, let's say coding within the automotive industry, are you sharing the stuff about the development of the automobile, autonomous driving? Anything has to do with that. So are you behaving passionately? This is where social media comes in. On top of that, list LinkedIn to show the recruiters your behavior. Next, last but not least, are you going to be fitting into our company's culture? That is really a function of interviews and in-person interactions and voice messages and video messages and follow-ups. So there's going to be other opportunities for you in the interview process to prove that. The job of the interview is to just interviewer or the recruiter is to get you there step by step. So make sure you understand these very much. So what really matters from the employer's point of view, things that matter to them are the problems they have. Things that matter to you are only the things you can control. The things you can control, the skills you have. Either you have 20 years of experience and lots of skills, or you have no years of experience, some skills, one skill. You know how to code in Java. That's it. So there's certain things you can control. There are certain problems that matter to the employer, things that need to be solved. When it comes to job search and career progression, that intersection is what you need to focus on. So how can you find companies that have the problem you want to solve, and can you really solve it for them? That could have a big problem. You only know JavaScript, so you want to come in and help them with that vertical niche, that very fine area of overlap. And as you gain more experience, more skill sets, you can start expanding your area of focus. It's really important for you to quantify specifically what it is you can do and then where it is you can help them. So ultimately, when it comes to the resume, LinkedIn profile, interview performance, this is what you want to do. Again, this is one of those, mindset. I told you the mindset, I'm going to identify a mindset very common that is negative, that is inappropriate, that ends up getting you disqualified. It is the whole selfish speaking, is a self-bragging, is a self-absorbed mindset. It's very natural. We're all human. I do it too, but you got to get conscious of it. Too much bragging about yourself and just being too inwardly focused versus outwardly focused. So I always say, don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about your skills and experience. Talk about the problems you solve and the impact you create. Why? Because going back to the previous slide, what matters is the problems that the companies have. The only thing you can focus on are the skills you have. The cross section becomes the solution. But if you only talk about the solution, or if you're talking about your skills and experience, assuming that if you just talk about your skills, they're going to connect the dots and they're going to say, oh, well, of course he or she is going to be solving our problems, because he brings us. No one's going to make that assumption. You need to justify how your skills solve a problem, so therefore they can be the solution. And the cherry on top of the cake is what happens at the end. Is the impact, is the result, is the outcome, is what happens at the end. If the programming of the autonomous driving system is more accurate and the testing is done at 100% success rate, the crash rate reduces, we're going to have less accidents on the road, more lives saved. People will be happier, and then that's going to ultimately get more autonomous cars on the road, reduce the emissions, get more people, like you talk about the future and the beautiful outcomes that comes out of it. It's not just about the job you did in the past, experience you have. It's not just about how much skill set you have, how good you are with JavaScript, skill you have. It's about how your skills are positioned as a solution to a problem so that you can create an outcome, a positive impact. That form of storytelling, because it is a story you're telling, needs to be implemented on your resume, on your LinkedIn, and in your conversations in an interview. So change that mindset. It is not about you. It's about the problems you solve and the impact you create. And ultimately, I love this quote by Theodore Roosevelt that says, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So you want to get the point across to the recruiters, to the employers, to the hiring manager about how much you care, how terrible this problem is that we have, and how important it is that we solve this problem. And why we have to solve it is because look at this beautiful outcome. Look at this impact that we can create. None of those things are about you. The problem has nothing to do with you. You're not talking about yourself. The impact and how people will benefit from it, or the society, or the economy, or the climate, less pollution in the climate, lower emissions, have nothing to do with you. When you talk about problems and impact first, when you begin to now talk about yourself as a solution provider, and then what is the solution? JavaScript, and I have 6 months of bootcamp experience. You're positioning yourself so well. You're going to come across as selfless. You're going to come across as someone who's mission driven, who's purpose driven, who does things based on what their core values are. It values that outcome. It is valuable for us to have lower emissions in our economy. It is valuable to us to solve certain problems, and it gives us that sense of purpose. Okay, so this is all mindset. We're still on the mindset part, and I'm explaining this part a little bit further because you need to understand this is the most important part, because it forms your conversation. It forms your thoughts, and then the words that come out of your mouth, and the energy you put behind it. The most important thing. This is how you fascinate a recruiter. This is how you fascinate and you really get them to fall in love with you, because you all have fallen in love with what matters to them, why they started their business. Tesla started because they wanted, reduce emissions. For one, electric vehicle, no petrol, no gas use, right? Long story short, the way you think about it is extremely important. It allows you to be able to know what to say, and then you focus on improving how to say it. And this brings me to this second part of the presentation, which is all about improving your communications. The most important thing I want you to understand, big picture, macro picture, is communication is not just the words that come out of your mouth. Communication, when it comes to job search, is just not the words that are written on your resume, or the words that are written on your LinkedIn profile, or in the cover letter you send. They're important. They're the first part. That's how you get across to them. If you can help them, if you've got the skills that are going to solve their problem, that is a function of writing. That is the easiest part of the job. But it's also about 7% of the entire elements of personal communication. And this is a framework developed by Dr. Mehrabian, who I think he still teaches at UCLA. So, he's alive, he's with us. You can go back and look at his work and his teachings and learn about it on YouTube. It's all free stuff. But you need to understand different elements. And then how can we make a bigger impact? How we can hit on that second point, the second priority, which is, do you care about us? That's really important. Are you behaving passionately about our company's mission or core values? Keyword behave, keyword passionately. Energy, emotions, feelings, drive, like grit, persistence. These are all the stuff you cannot write. You cannot write on a piece of paper on your resume that I care about you. It's like, I'm persistent. Really? You're persistent? My phone's not ringing. I don't think you're persistent. You don't sound persistent because I'm reading off a piece of paper. So to hit that second point, to convince the recruiter and the employer hiring manager that you care, you truly care, you got to use your voice. You got to insist. You got to have clear intention, strong conviction. Like you give a beep, like you actually care, 38%, that's 38% of the picture. So on a phone call, when I'm speaking words and I got this energy coming out of my chest, I can be as effective as 7 plus 38, 45%. That's not bad. It's better than just my resume. It's better than just, a piece of paper. I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone interview right now. I can understand the other person better, and the recruiter can understand me better. At least he or she can understand that I have the skills and I really truly care about who they are, what they do, what problems they solve, and the impact they want to create in the world. Now we go to that third point. Can we trust you? You know, are you going to fit into our company's culture and team dynamic? And for us as recruiters, of hiring managers and employers, for anybody to figure that out, I got to see you. You know, like since the pandemic, the video interview has become like a normal thing. So, you know, I can see Alex smiling right now. I can see him nodding. This is body language, you know. You know, if he was like, you know, if he was just like cross arm and shaking his head, I can see that, okay, well, whatever I'm saying makes no sense, or I'm kind of like BSing my way through. He didn't say anything, but I got that from his body language, you know. So body language is extremely important, you know, to see that person's genuine feeling, you know, like they truly want to be here, because I want to see if I can trust you. There's no way I can truly trust someone to pay him $100,000 a year for a job until I see them, man. Like, it's a lot of money. It's a big risk, you know, to hire someone, pay him, you know, 6 figures or 80 grand. Doesn't matter. It's a hell of a lot of money. So video interviews is absolutely a must, but then ideally in-person interviews, so we can get that handshake, you know what I mean? To see what you like, you know, kind of like literally like connection, you know, tap you on the shoulder, see like, are we going to get along? Are we going to like walk to my office and see like, are you weird? You know what I mean? Or like, we're cool, you know what I mean? Are we going to leave fist bumping, or are we going to leave, you know, being kind of like weird, you know what I mean? Like, there's different environments, you know. For some environments, maybe it's like, okay, like you stay here, I'll stay here, put your mask on, I'm here. Some areas, it might not be like that, you know. And I'm bringing up the mask example because it's a trigger for a lot of people, you know. It is what it is. Some offices want you to put a mask on. Sure as hell, I won't be. So if I go to a place and want me to mask on, okay, thank you very much, nice meeting you, bye. You know what I mean? So I'm not, you know, we won't get into that, but like that's a very recent example we can tap into for you to see, okay, that's what he means. That's a big thing. It could be small things. Body language is massive. It's the most important element of personal communication. It could be a handshake, it could be a smile, it could be, you know, I'm saying something, Alex smiles, or Alex says something, I smile, or none of us smile. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, we don't want to be here. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most important part about body language, body emotion, is to smile. And if you're not smiling, you can't fake it. You know what I mean? You genuinely want me to trust you, you gotta be smiling, man. You gotta be cool, you gotta be laid back, you gotta get with me, we gotta get down, we need to be like each other. You know, so the most important part of improving your communication is to improve your body language, then to improve the voice, to just mean what you say and say what you mean, and then say the right stuff. You know, you could say some of the right stuff, maybe like 4 or 5% of the right stuff, but if you're saying it with good energy, you know what I mean, and your body language is good, you look confident, that's it. We can fix the words. You know, I can clarify as a recruiter. Like, did you really mean that? Or you mean this? Okay, yeah, cool. Now, thanks for clarifying. You know, words can be further clarified, but if your tone of voice is wacky, a recruiter would probably not even want to confirm that, because, you know, I get things, you know, like you say things a certain way, like, okay, you don't mean well. And, you know, it's going to be challenging to correct or to confirm someone's tone of voice. It's like, did you really mean that, man? You know, because that becomes a very, like, you could do that to friends, but to someone you met for an interview, to a stranger, people won't confirm your emotion. And if your body language is wrong, that's like, it's the easiest way to fail in an interview. Wrong body language. You know, so again, anyways, I'm spending a lot of time on this. It's the most important thing. Let's move on. So what are these things we're going to communicate? You got to improve it. Well, what are the things, and what's the order of importance? What's the order of priority? The most important thing is your identity. Your identity is your why. If you guys are familiar with Simon Sinek, he wrote the book Start With Why. Definitely, you must read that book. If you're struggling with career, your job search, everything, and you haven't read Simon Sinek's Start With Why, you must buy that book. I mean, there's free versions of it online. Just Google it, YouTube it. The book's old. But you need to understand there's workshops, there's all kinds of stuff with that book. So you understand who your identity is. I had a message earlier today, someone saying, I'm in my 50s, I just started my coding career. I'm assuming that person is here. He booked, I don't know, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm assuming he found it. You might actually be here. He booked a consultation with me. So anyways, long story short, I'm curious to see like what kind of identity does he have, because his identity right now seems like a 50-year-old who's getting into coding for the first time. That's not a good identity. We don't want to hire that person. Instead, you need to realign, readjust your identity and match it with that of a company. The identity of a company is defined by their vision. So if you go to a company's website, you go to the company page or about us page, right off the bat, they're going to talk to you what their vision is, why the company started, how they identify themselves. They identify themselves by the vision, by how they view themselves, visualize themselves in the future. So your identity is the company's vision. First thing you got to really hammer down. You got to really talk about that. Second is values. Values for you are the rules you cannot break. You have skills, you can solve those problems, but there's certain rules you cannot break. And with the company, every company has the same, similar values as well. Certain things are important to them. So you want to match them. A lot of job seekers don't really have strong core values, which is a problem, but it can be solved very quickly. So if you're not really sure what your core values are, you might say, okay, yeah, family is important to me, integrity, honesty, these are important to me. I'm like, okay, fantastic. It's like, great. Tell me 10 other values that are important to you. If you're not sure, adopt the values of that company. Like Amazon has those 14 leadership values, adopt them, learn them, understand them. If you agree with them, adopt them. They're now yours. So entire job search process, entire interviewing process, you're communicating the same values, and they see that, okay, yeah, her identity is aligned with our vision. He wants to achieve the same things we want to achieve as a business. We both have the same values. And then the goals are very much more specific, like specific tasks, specific problems. Goal is a solving of a problem. So what is your goal is another way of saying what kind of problems you want to solve. It's a slide we talked about earlier. There's problems that need to be solved. That's what the company cares about. There's skills you can bring in. I know JavaScript. Fantastic. Your goal is to use JavaScript to solve this specific problem. Company's website, front end, whatever, and that goal that you have, it needs to be directly aligned and matched with that company or a department or a team's particular mission. So in that order: identity, values, goals. The often common problem I see is that everyone's focusing on the goals. I want a job, I know JavaScript, and give me a job. So that they forget about values, they don't have an identity. So this whole picture, you feel like there's no core in you, the core values are not there, the core identity is not there. That person looks now risky. We're not sure if we should hire them. Likely they're not going to stay here because all they want to do is to make $40 an hour using JavaScript to solve, build a couple of websites. They don't know anything about our values, and they certainly don't care about our identity. Those are the problems. So we need to communicate in that order, with the right words, with the right tone of voice, with the right body language, in that order: identity, values, and goals. Let's move on and focus on identity. I'm only going to focus on identity and I'll tell you this: the number one reason, like this top 3 reasons people fail the first interview. One reason is just like communication. There's no conviction. Person's not here to help us change the world. They just want to use JavaScript to develop a website. So just misalignment. There's no energy. Their body language is crap. They failed that. Second is just, they don't know really how to tell their own stories. It's a lot more, again, communication based. But third, or in any order, when they ask you, why do you want to work for our company? Out of every 10 people, 9 people fail this question. And that's the deal breaker question. If you don't know why you want to work for our company, you don't answer it based on how we identify ourselves, what our core values and vision is, what our purpose is, that's a failure. That's why most people don't get past the phone screening, because when someone asks you, hey, why do you want to work for Tesla? And the answer is something like this. Well, Tesla is a great company. It's in the Fortune 50 companies. I like autonomous cars. Elon's cool. Blah, 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 blah. I like robots. Like some BS like that, and that has nothing to do with reducing global emissions, has nothing to do with the future of automotive, has nothing, you say nothing about, pedestrian safety, you say nothing about transportation accidents, because that's what really matters. The company identifies by, and we have fully like level 5 autonomous vehicles, number of accidents significantly reduced, lives saved, emission reduced, more green planet, weather patterns improve. Like it really has to do with that impact because they identify themselves at the core by their vision. The vision is what allows them to become a purpose-driven company. So companies care about purpose, vision, values, and that's what you should adopt. When someone says, "Why do you want to work for IBM?" If your answer is, "Oh, IBM is," or Apple, if your answer is somewhere around, "Oh, Apple is a great company. I've got an Apple phone, and Apple, has, so cool. I like the new goggles." Like, those are all reasons. Those are things that you like. Those are personal, selfish reasons for you why you like Apple as a consumer. That's not what the question is. Is like, why us? Like the answer should be on them. You need to define the answer you're going to give them based on what their purpose is in life, in business, what kind of problems they want to solve, and what kind of impacts they want to create. Cool. So I shared this slide because I feel like this has a lot of impact when I read it, and I want you guys to like read it again, look at it to see how, as consumers, how we respond to, how we relate to purpose-driven companies. And any successful company is going to be purpose-driven. If they're not purpose-driven, they won't be long-lasting. And look at how loyal we are to them, how much we feel, how much of a stronger emotional connections we have with purpose-driven companies. So this is a fantastic slide because we don't forget those companies. We believe they're going to last forever. We buy their stuff. We buy their stuff even when we don't need them. Like, you don't really need iPhone 25 or whatever the next iPhone is. You're just going to get it because you feel like you have to have it. And that's what a purpose-driven company does really well. Okay, let's move on. So I'm going to go through these next few slides very quickly so we can hit the last few slides so we can kind of keep the whole presentation within an hour. I want to give you a few tips on how to find those purpose-driven companies. And I want you to think about problems, challenges, issues that exist in the world, and the impact, outcome, the solving of a problem. The things you want to focus on searching is what companies solve these problems, what companies focus on creating this impact, this outcome. And it's a Google search away. So when you're job searching, if you're a Java programmer living in San Diego, don't just look for Java developer jobs in San Diego. That's what everybody does. But that's going to end up giving you results in a bunch of different companies, bunch of different industries, bunch of different problems, bunch of different identities, bunch of different impacts. So it's a mix of everything. And then you're going to go and start building different resumes for different companies. It's the same job, but like different identities, different core values, different vision, different purpose. And then you'll go to those interviews, bunch of interviews, and they ask you, why do you want to work for us? Why do you want to work for Illumina? Why do you want to work for, the Navy? Why do you want to work for X? Why do you want to work for Y? And your answer is always the same. And then you're not going to get the second call back and you wonder why. So I need you to just change that whole formula on its head and look for companies that do a particular thing in San Diego. You live in San Diego, so it has to be in San Diego. So maybe like, what challenges exist? And this is what this first slide is about. If you want to really focus on, let's pick life sciences, pharmaceuticals, medical devices. Massive presence of those companies in San Diego area. So top challenges in the field of medical devices, top challenges in the field of drug development, top challenges in the field of pharmaceuticals, whatever. Just do that search and then narrow it down based on San Diego. And then only target those companies make a list of them that do that particular mission, focus on that particular core values, set of core values, because their core values are going to be about people's health, pandemic prevention, overcoming, disease, cancer, curing cancer, things like that. So your identity, now you're a Java developer, sure, but before you become a Java developer, you're someone who wants to cure cancer, who wants to overcome health disease, disease-related health issues, who wants to help people develop the next medical technology for whatever, for maybe cardiovascular, medical devices. And when someone as those companies ask you, why do you want to work for us? Your answer is not because, oh, I went to Triple C, I learned coding, and now I'm here. Hello. It's not that. It's like, you guys want to cure cancer. You know what I mean? I want that to be my legacy. I will do whatever it takes to be part of your organization, developing next series of medical technologies that's going to allow surgeons to use these robotic systems to perform operations remotely. Whatever that core value or that vision of that company is, the problem they want to solve and the impact they want to create. So you sound like a visionary. That's the whole point, right? Change your mindset, and then when you communicate, you're just going to sound like a visionary, someone who wants to be part of their organization, someone who's going to fit into their company culture and their team dynamics, who they can trust. Like, the conversation is not about JavaScript. Nobody really cares that you went to Triple C to learn Java. They want to know if you want to cure cancer. They'll teach you so much more. Triple C is just your step in. It's like one leg in. As long as the right things come out of, like the right words come out of your mouth, that is not only Triple C and Java related. It's about this, what you guys do, what you identify as a business is what I identify as. I want to be part of the development of the next series of pharmaceutical drugs that allow us to, cure this next pandemic that's going to come around the corner. Please bring me on. I have enough tool sets. I know JavaScript. I know a little bit more, but I got drive. I got grit. I got persistence, because I want to be part of that. What you do, I'm here. Let me get started. Go through the training program. Give me some tasks that are Java specific, and give me more tools. Let me start learning Node. Let me start learning .NET. Let me start learning your backend on SQL, because I'm here. I'm driven. I want to cure cancer. Cool. Moving on. A few more examples of Google searches. Current issues in a particular sector. If you don't know what problems and challenges exist, look for top challenges. Look for current issues, and then or biggest problems in this industry. And then when you gather the insights and the information, look for companies. Companies focused on medical devices in San Diego. Companies developing new drugs in San Diego. Companies solving cancer in San Diego. So you begin your job search with a list of companies. Then inside those companies who all share the same identity and same core values, who's looking for a Java developer? That's your job's now so much easier. You got two big pictures, identity and values, taken care of. Now you're going after your goal. My goal is to input Java into their website. That's my way in. It's not the primary reason I want to get into that company, because the primary reason is to help them develop the next series of drugs that will help us, save lives. Cool. Last but not least, you do all that stuff. You change your mindset. You look at things from a different angle, different perspective. You improve your communication skills. You say things in the right order. You focus on identity and vision first, and values, then your mission. You just really focus on how we can solve this problem, create this impact, and then talk about your skills and experiences. You can do all of that, and to tie it all together, you got to use those shortcuts that I was telling you earlier. So what are those shortcuts? They're just standard operating procedures I want you to understand and take advantage of, so call it a shortcut or not. I want to make sure you're not job searching backwards, because if you look at this graph here, there's like 6 different layers to it. This is hiring 101. This is a very basic standard operating procedure for a company to hire people. Employers, like they have a direction they go through. They go from bottom up. you got to make sure that you're not job searching backwards. So maybe I should write, unfortunately, people look for jobs in this other direction. I used to be one of those people, like I told you. For 3 years, I was doing that backwards. And then I got into recruiting and I realized that, oh, wow, I wish somebody told me this, 3 years ago, so I could just like align my activities. In a nutshell, you want to adopt the procedures and follow them in the right direction. That's why they call them standard operating procedures, step by step. When an employer wants to hire someone, the priority is given to internal promotions, lateral moves, someone who's a temp, come on board, someone who's a consultant. Hey, you want to work full time? Come on in. A good 20%, 15, 20% of jobs are filled like that. And that's it. Not even the internal employees will find out. I'm the boss. I'm like, oh, Alex, you're a consultant for us. You want to come on full time? Why don't we just meet? I just need to meet with you one time, because you've already worked for us. We just want to bring you on as a contractor. Now you're full-time permanent. That's it. Everybody finds out on Monday, Alex is now a full-time employee. That's it. Problem solved. Didn't cost me anything as the employer. I didn't have to advertise. I didn't have to call a recruiting company. Nothing. Just like very quick, easy, successful hiring program. If that doesn't work, a week goes by. I message all the consultants, all the temps. Everyone's like, no, I'm cool, like, no, or they're not qualified. Someone says, oh yeah, I'd love to. I interview them. I'm like, you're just not ready. If that first layer, the orange layer, doesn't work, then we're going to go to find out if any of our current staff, existing staff, have any contacts. This is the referral stage, the most successful. A good 20, 25%, sometimes 30% of jobs in that company are filled through referrals. Let's say Alex is one of my developers. I say, hey, Alex, I need a guy like you. Not as senior as you, like 2-3 years younger is fine. 2-3 years less experience is cool. If you know someone, is like, oh yeah, I know this person I met through the boot camp I went to. Come on, it's fantastic. Make an introduction. I'll interview them. If they're good, I'll hire them. If that doesn't work, then as a hiring manager and internal recruiters of our company, we start networking. We put the word out there. LinkedIn is the #1 recruiting platform. This is why LinkedIn is so important, because if you're not already a temp or an intern and you don't really have many contacts, you can't really get referrals, you start at the networking level. That's the most important, the most successful. You gotta be on LinkedIn, you gotta reach out, and you gotta market yourself. So you have to have an active account like we talked about earlier. You have to show that you passionately behave about a company's mission and core values. That's how you develop your activities on LinkedIn. You put yourself out there, you market yourself. But at the same time, you need to go out and contact the hiring managers and recruiters in those companies that we found. Companies that are all in San Diego and they all have the same identity, which is pharmaceuticals and drug development, or medical technologies and medical devices, or the ones that create, solutions for diseases or cancer. The same identity, and we have to shape our activities around that same identity, and we need to reach out to the managers and recruiters in that company and tell them, hey, I want to work for your company because I want to help you solve this disease. I want to help you cure this cancer. I want to help you develop this new drug to overcome the next pandemic before it starts. Networking is the most important thing. This is where I do my coaching. This is all I do. This is the only thing I do. The most important. Very successful by this point. With the first 3 layers, at least 70, sometimes 80% of jobs have already been filled. So we don't need to go and contact professional organizations. And you just name different associations, different organizations, boot camps, you name it. There's lots of different professional organizations that if some of these doesn't work or all don't work, the employers are going to start tapping into these other sources. That doesn't work, they're going to hire a recruitment agency. That doesn't work, they're going to advertise. They're going to mass advertise online on job boards and things like that. So just got to make sure you manage your time and efforts and energy accordingly, so you're not job searching backwards. If you're currently unemployed and you have all day, every day, sure, go ahead and do all of them, but like, how are you prioritizing your day? Which one of those are you doing in the morning? How much time are you spending on it? Are you doing 1 hour of networking and 5 hours of job boards? Well, that's not right. Why don't you do 5 hours of networking and 1 hour of job boards? Managing your time accordingly and going through this process in the same directions that employers do. Why? This gets a bit more technical, but I want you to understand why networking is so important. And it is because modern recruitment strategies. Now, let's say we go back, I want to really go back like 10 years, but go back like 8 years, go back 5 years. This is where the companies are really focusing on candidate engagement, because the more you engage with the candidate, the more you know about them, the more you figure out if they can help you, the more you figure out if they truly care about you, the more you learn about if you can really trust them. All the things we already talked about. So they created even a longer hiring process, a longer hiring procedure, no longer 5 levels. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've seen hiring programs or recruitment engagement strategies up to like 15 different stages. But they all start with the top of the funnel, all top where you see those little figures on top, which is the person, the candidate, getting to know the company. Employer branding is just like, who are they? What's it like to work there? Just getting to know them, engaging with them. And then by engaging with that company's brand online, this is primarily where social media comes in, and LinkedIn is on top of that list. They can now begin to source. So this is, again, where recruiting starts, the word of mouth, and they put the word of mouth out there, so they can start sourcing. They can start social recruiting. They can bring you into their candidates CRM or the applicant tracking system. And they can start nurturing you, is engaging with you, spending more time with you. See if you're engaging back with them. See how much time you spend with them. Are you genuinely passionate about who they are and what they do? If you are, then you would spend more time with them. You know, and ultimately then will you apply to a position? Will you be qualified? And then going through the evaluation process, the phone interview, selection for a personal in-person interview, and then a job offer, and then the onboarding and training. It's a multi-layer process that you need to get better results, be on top and go through the entire process. Because if you just go into the company's website and applying, well, then you skipped 5 steps. You didn't engage with their brand. They didn't get a chance to source. They didn't get a chance to recruit you socially, like naturally, authentically. You didn't come into the applicant tracking system based on what a top candidate is, because only top candidates are entered proactively. And there was no passive candidate nurturing. Like, there was no integration. There was no engagement. You didn't spend any time with them. You just went boom and applied. You know, so like, there's nothing special. I don't even know you, you know, but you could have spent the time to go through the other 5 steps as a recruiter, for me to actually get to know you better. So I have a better understanding if you can help me, if you care about us, if I can trust you, then you can apply. Right? And this is why networking is so important, because this is what they care about. So you should care about too, as long as you care about getting hired, getting the top jobs fast. Like Mike said, we're not here to make things easy for you, but sure as hell, we're going to make it faster. You still have to work your ass off, but you'll get hired faster. That's what it is, you know? So ultimately, candidate engagement, like I was telling you just a few seconds ago, it's about how much time they spend with the candidate. The more time they spend with you, the better they can answer those 3 questions. Can he help us? Does she care about us? Can we trust them? You know, they want to spend time with you to figure that out. You need to spend time with them. How do you do that? Through those variety of different networking related tasks. Number 2 is multiple interactions. That's where the engagement comes in. That's where the passive candidate nurturing comes in. The follow-up comes in. You know, how regularly are you following up? Are you communicating with your recruiters? A lot of people don't. You know, when I consult with them, it's like, okay, you applied? Yeah. The recruiter messaged you? Yeah. What did they say? They said, I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. Okay, so when was the last time you talked to them? 2 months ago. What the hell? So what did you do, man? You just waited? You just waited 2 months, 8 weeks? You didn't follow up with them? Oh, but they said I'll follow up. No, man, like, you're responsible. Don't you want a job, you know? So those are the regular conversations I have every day. So you got to spend more time. You are responsible. I mean, you guys are in San Diego, you know, Jocko Willink, you know, like, another book to read is Extreme Ownership. You are 100% responsible for everything that happens to you. You're responsible for managing and engaging those interactions, you know, so that you can demonstrate to them that you're continuously interested. So number 3, sustained interest from the candidate. Keyword, from the candidate. These guys sitting at Tesla or Illumina or any company around you, they don't need you. You need them. So you want to show them that they should trust you, that you really care about them. You got to create that sustained interest. You got to regularly follow up. You got to be on top of it. You got to prove to them. You know what I mean? You cannot just message them once, call them once, and just wait for them to get back to you. All right. So we're pretty much coming to the end of this conversation. I think this is the last slide. I'll quickly go through this in like 1 minute, and then you guys can definitely get a copy of these slides. I'll save this presentation in PDF. I'll send it to Alex, so everybody who attended can get a copy. But this is some data. At the end of the day, we all want to make data-driven decisions, and we looked at very traditional standard operating procedure of hiring, those 5 layers, and then we looked at the other 11 steps. And here's even more. If you look at the different sources of hiring, companies do a lot of different things to hire people, from their career sites, job boards, internal recruiters, referrals, internal mobility we talked about, staffing agencies, hiring managers, all kinds of different campaigns and different searches. If you look at the most number of people who got hired or the most number of people who submitted applications, it is the career sites and job boards. But that's the trap. That's the big shiny ball. That's the thing that's just like, I have a friend, everybody has a friend who applied online and Tesla called them and they got a job in 5 seconds. It's like, if they did it, I did it, like but that's the lottery, right? We all know someone, we all see that, highlight news, somebody won the slam ball, lottery. And we're like, okay, well, I got $20. I'm going to go buy the lottery ticket. Complete waste of time, complete waste of money, right? So don't get persuaded by the anomalies. Look at the data and look at, yeah, sure, almost 70 people got hired during this. This is 13 million people, 13 million job seekers in this batch of data. 70,000 of them got hired through career sites, but there were 5 million applications. So if you look at the effectiveness, it's 0.08. If you look at the job boards, yeah, like 46,000 people got hired, but there were 7 million people who applied. That's 0.03, 0.04%. Like, those are not the odds you want to have to do anything in life, let alone getting a job, So the only column that's really important is the effectiveness. It's the success rate of that hiring program. So and I put some numbers behind here. So when I coach someone, we spend honestly, we do job searching 1 hour a day. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really effective if you focus enough time on the highly effective, high success rate actions. My coach used to call it results producing activities. So I'll give him credit. Results producing activities. If I perform an activity that has a 19.35% chance of success, I'll just do that, So we job search for 1 hour a day, 45 minutes on hiring managers, 10 minutes on internal recruiters, 5 minutes is on social media shares. We only use LinkedIn, so this is what I referred to a few slides back a few times. Activities you do on LinkedIn: likes, comments, shares. How do you engage with the company's brand online, so you can share them, so you can show them that you genuinely care about them, their mission and their core values, that they can, that you have that sustained interest, that everything binds in together, which is why I want you guys to print this presentation and read through it after that. Message me, if anyone wants to talk to me, I offer everybody through presentations, consultations. We can talk about this more, help you define a strategy, create a roadmap, but the writing's on the wall. The pudding's on the on the plate. You just gotta eat it. It's like right in front of you. Only do things that are going to give you the best chance of success. If you're going to only contact hiring managers, it's fine. That's like 80% of the strategy. Another 15% of your time on recruiters, internal recruiters of the company, 6.6% success rate. And the last 5% of your time is developing your activities and your presence on LinkedIn. You just do those 3 things and never apply to jobs online, please. Never waste your time on company boards. Referrals, number 4, referrals are a natural byproduct of networking. Referrals will naturally come to you. And frankly, again, I come from the agency world, staffing agency world, 10 years, lots of good experience. I've recruited people in Canada, US, Mexico, Brazil, Australia. That's it, basically those countries. it's challenging. It's very challenging to get hired through a job agency, especially if you don't have the experience and the tenure to show, because the cost of hiring you goes up. So I know I put number 5 besides agencies, and I know I'm a little biased, but a lot of times, if not all the time, you're not the person contacting the agency. The agency is contacting you. So if someone's contacting you, take them seriously for a particular reason they contacted you. Otherwise, you sitting here contacting agencies, it's probably a waste of your time. You can be spending that time in a lot better places. Okay. So thank you all for listening to me for a long time. I was supposed to go through this faster, but you can see that like I really care about this stuff, because I really wish if I knew this stuff 15 years ago, 13 years ago, I'd be a senior developer, I'd be a senior engineer at one of the companies near you. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing, because I still have passion for that. I knew I would have been a multiple co-founder of companies. I know myself. I knew my dreams. I don't have those dreams anymore, but my dream and my mission has completely changed. Which is now engineeryourmission.com, which is all about helping you understand who you are, what makes you different, and giving you the soft skills, mental skills, communication skills, presentation skills. Not really the hard skills, you've already got it, but it's time to be able to communicate that, to present that, so you can end up doing what you love.
Nader, that was gold. Yeah, those last 4 or 5 slides, especially that job search pyramid. Oh my God, I can relate to a lot of what you were saying, a lot, and I want to give my anecdotal evidence. But before we do that, I did want to give shouts out to people who are joining us today. So today we got Chan coming in. Chan, how you doing? Misael Bolanes, thanks for making it. Philip from halfway around the world, from United Kingdom. Phil is here today. Ermias is here. Olena. Anna, one of our own apprentices here. Demi Waz, one of my newest friends. Demi Waz, thanks for making it. Appreciate it. We have a question. This is coming from one of our apprentices. Okay. Her name is Anna Davis. And she asks, to your mind, will the availability of tech jobs become worse throughout the current recession?
I'm not even going to answer that question. I'm going to give you a tip, a success tip. Stop asking that question. It really doesn't matter. First of all, like the best person who's going to answer that question is probably ChatGPT or an AI. Like no one's going to be here. I don't got that much ego to be able to answer that question for you and say, you know what, based on my expertise, so no, like I'm not going to pretend like I know. We can all sit here around the bonfire on the beach later this afternoon and talk about it. There's the whole, some AI is going to come in, some jobs are going to be taken, some artists have lost their jobs, Hollywood writers are on strike, accountants are going to be affected, copywriters, like what's the next version of ChatGPT or another company that's going to teach AI how to code. Like we can sit here and debate all that stuff, but like so what, it just really doesn't matter, because we don't know. No one's going to know. No one's going to tell you. Even if they tell you, they're full of shit. Excuse my language, but you want, again, I'm picking at your mindset right now. So we started the presentation with talking about mindset. If you're thinking like that, you've already lost. So please just get that, like the answer to that is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if you're a developer, you can work anywhere and for anyone anywhere. I hate to use myself as an example, but anytime like I had challenges finding clients, while I was living in LA, that's what took me. So I did a lot of mining recruiting in mining. I'm like, mines, it would be cool to find people for gold mining. I'm like, oh, that took me to Australia. So I was working remotely for companies, Lycopodium. Lycopodium is a company in Australia that does mining. Dominican Republic and also Brazil. So I was like working remotely for them. And this is me 10 years ago, like 8 years ago. Today, you can work for any company as a developer remotely. You can start your own company with someone else as a group of, finding a new product, new system. So you want to be focus on what problems are out there that you can focus on, that you can solve. You know, because like if you're in this, oh, what's going to happen at a job? Are there going to be less jobs? Let's say yes. Look at the options. Yes, there are going to be less jobs. So what are you going to do? Like, that doesn't change anything. Or no, jobs are going to stay the same. Well, it doesn't change your response. Your response is still the same. You know, it's a long-winded answer, and I know that's not what you wanted to hear. But again, yes, no, maybe. Write down all three answers. What are you going to do after? Or ask yourself, so what? Now what?
What are you going to do now? Exactly.
Now what are you going to do now? You know,
Exactly.
no, nothing changes. You know what I mean? You want to look for problems. Again, you're not identifying with the right mission right now. You want to identify a problem that needs to be solving, and you want to like embrace that. You want that to be part of, like, you want that to be the reason you wake up before your alarm goes off. You need to be reading about it, writing about it, posting about it, studying about it. Not about Java anymore, about curing cancer, you know, about what is the thing that you really have to do. I hope that helps answer your question. I mean, I know it doesn't directly, but I want you to, again, shift your mindset.
No, she said thank you. So based on that job search pyramid, that's what that hit me the hardest, only because so I went to a boot camp. This is back in 2018. And, it's about 4 months. After 4 months, I had graduated. I'm looking for jobs, and I see this internship pop up. I have a background in healthcare, right? So I see this internship. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I love healthcare. I loved working in the healthcare, and this specific company was in the healthcare industry. I said, I would love to get this job. I actually had two companies I was going after. This one was in healthcare, and I really, really wanted this one. So I got offers from both. I started thinking to myself, I actually love the idea of what these people are doing. So I'm going to go to this company, although it's not a job, it's an internship, right? And then this other one is an actual job. But I really feel passionate about what these people are doing. So I'm going to go this direction. I'm going to go to this internship. It pays a little bit less, but that's okay because I really like what they do. And I think in the bottom of the pyramid, you're talking about companies hiring from within, right? So I get this internship, and it wasn't very long. It was only like 3 months. I think I spent there like 3 months, 6 months, something like that. And boom, automatically hire. Like, no, you're full time. We love what you're doing. You're doing great work for us. Do you recommend people? Well, of course, you're saying, be passionate about your choices. Don't cast such a wide net and, apply to everything under the sun. Go look at the company. If you're passionate about what they do and your morals align, that you should take that route instead of go for something you really want and just get your foot in the door. And in a matter of time, you're gonna be taken up. You're gonna be like work your way to the top. Would you agree with that statement? It's kind of what happened to me. I wonder if that's kind of what this job search pyramid kind of showcases.
You're a great example of it. So would you rather look for work without any guarantee for the next 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and actually get the job? I mean, if anybody's job searching for 6 months and they give you a job, any job, you're going to be happy because you've been jobless for 6 months. So It's an illusion. Or would you rather just get hired in this internship within a month, make a little money or no money, and for the next 3 months, but then chances of you getting hired 3 months from today is extremely higher? It's a no-brainer. It's like, of course, but again, that's a mindset thing. For me, it's a no-brainer. For you, it's a no-brainer because you've already experienced it. For anybody listening to this, the mindset's probably saying, oh, but it's an internship, but well, I'm not gonna make any money, that's the mindset shift,
You got to think long term, right? Think long term.
It's not just long term. It's, again, if it's a matter of priorities, because it is. So again, I'm gonna have to unpack what you just said, because and sorry for me picking at you. You're gonna be my test subject right now because you just said it, and I'm just like, I'm super. These are triggers. These are what you just said. I hear so many times. You saw that thing as being long term, but it's actually faster to get hired. When you look at reality and data, it's actually faster to get an internship and get hired in that company because the average time it takes in the US for someone to get hired is 6 months. So why not take a 1 month to get an internship? So 4 months from today, you have a full-time job. So if you look at statistics, it is actually faster to focus on a company based on their vision and mission and core values than, you know what I mean? But you saw it so everybody sees but that's long. Isn't that going to take longer for me to network? this is such a common question or some common assumption. And so the answer is no, like it's so much faster. But the perception is that, well, networking, I don't have any network and I gotta build a network, and it's probably gonna be like 7 years from now till I have a network. That's the common perception. And I get that a lot, but isn't that a lot? Isn't that good for long term? Should I not just like do this instead? I caught that. Sorry to pick on you, but like if anybody listening to this is thinking like that or got that, created that kind of like view in their mind, I want to catch that right away. I'm like, oh, hold on, like you're wrong. No, it's not gonna take longer. Look at statistics, like Google it. What's the fastest to get hired? Every article is gonna say networking. Why networking? And who's the right person? Hiring manager. Why the hiring manager? Because he or she is the boss. You know what I mean? They hire whoever the hell they want to hire. If you know the boss, you're getting hired faster. If you go through the online path, you're going into a long lineup of people who are just like you, want the same thing.
For sure.
Sure, more people get hired through online ads, but you got to look at the numbers and the success rates, you know? So it gets tricky when you're just kind of like thinking about it without looking at the data. And as soon as you do the Google searches, and you're going to find a lot of data similar or same as what I just showed you. You know, you just got to know what you look for, not what's the most, what's the strategy that most people get hired. Most people hired through job boards, but it's because there's a million job websites out there and millions of applications, and higher number of applications go through that. But what's the fastest? Again, Mike said it perfectly at the beginning. We're not here to make things easier for you guys. We're here to make it faster.
Absolutely. And I think we'll end on that. Nader, thank you so much for your time. I know we're already coming up on an hour and 20 minutes. So we're going to end this podcast. Maybe we can have another one to go into more details, get a little bit more granular. But you gave us a bunch of gems. If anybody's interested in the slideshow, he's going to go ahead and give that to me. You can go ahead and reach out, and I'll send those over to you right away. Nader, thank you so much. Everybody have a great weekend. Nader, thank you for taking COVID as your mentor. Really appreciate you investing back into creating coding careers. Everybody have a great night. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday. Have a good one, everyone.